Hey guys, again, my son and I both have laryngopharyngeal reflux disease from COVID, so my voice is a little raspy. I don't know if it'll ever get better, to be honest. So sorry about that. It always surprises me that people are confused about the notion that existence happens outside of them and that things go on before they existed and things go on after they existed and things go on outside of them while they exist, and they just can't get their minds around it. They're obsessed with perception and subjective perception, and somehow everything comes from them. There is a reality out there, okay? And you're going to mess up all your tools that you have in your toolbox for rationality and really coming to a conclusion about justice, morality, ethics. You're never going to understand unless you accept this simple idea that things exist before you, things exist outside of you, and things will continue to exist after you're gone. They're not all based on your subjective perception. There's a deterministic reality out there, and it's not relative. It's not relative. And it comes from something outside of really humanity itself. I mean, we are part of that deterministic order that's outside ourselves, but we have no control over it as individual agents or even a species, really. So that being said, some just want to make it all about subjective perception alone. It's an indirect, reductive ideology. If we're talking about slippery slopes, the first step is reducing reality to my reality. Then the next step is all reality exists for me and my perception, solipsism. You exist for me since you are just a manifestation of a universe that exists for me. It's really kind of like a gross way of thinking, and it's kind of like a shortcut. It's intellectually lazy, right? It's a shortcut to convenience. This is really a widespread failure of thinking that we see out in the world. It's easier to believe in illusion than it is to hold yourself accountable and refine your disciplines. Path of least resistance is basically delusion. As a human being, we have a responsibility to do something about gaining traction in reality. We owe it to nature to perpetuate the species, and we owe it to our fellow agents in the name of justice and fairness. So if one of you are saying, I don't know anybody anything, there's going to be consequences for that insensitivity. Those consequences will have a direct impact on your survival chances. I'm not saying you become a people pleaser to survive, but you have to imagine on the other side of the spectrum, if you become a detriment to others in situations where the option was really unnecessary and you're doing it to serve yourself ideologically, you have to assume that you're generating a duty in the other to persecute you, to ostracize you, just out of basic justice and fairness. Don't expect to be able to do whatever you want with no consequence. To turn around and act like you didn't earn the reaction is just another failure to understand in a long chain of failures that will be your life until you respect first that there's a reality outside of you. First, just start with physical reality. Get your mind around the idea that the world doesn't stop just because you do. That alone generates a certain amount of respect and real humbleness. Not the fake humbleness of people who focus on it and try to be humble, but a real humbleness and understanding. Facing a massive and different reality generates a real humbleness. Then you can start to get your mind around the fact that there are other subjective agents and life itself will go on after you're gone. It's much bigger than us as individuals. Then you can understand and get closer to the idea of fairness and justice between individuals, the sense of duty that comes from balancing a respectful situation with your fellow agents who are on the same ship as you and share in all the suffering and existential dearth that you do. This type of realization is going to really highlight the idea of consequentialism to the agent. Really, the only way we can know anything is by observing the effects of causes. But we can't direct ourselves with no clear vision about our goals. That's the problem I see in the world. It takes time and effort to develop a clear vision, and you can't do it unless you try to do it. Those who don't try get the void within themselves filled by the loudest, most prominent, and repetitive voices. That's not good because you become a subgroup agent. You become diverted from becoming connected to your own being, and you become convinced that another person or group holds your existence. Existence precedes essence. When you become convinced another entity or group holds the substance of your existence, your essence becomes whatever they tell you it's supposed to be. There may be little flashes of being that comes through, but only when you negate the other. Your affirmation is held by somebody else. In this video, I'm going to talk about primary and secondary qualities as they are discussed in philosophy and try to highlight the intellectual space around objective reality as it is and subjective perception and where you should draw the line, because some philosophers have led us down destructive roads in their sensory absolution, their sensory skepticism. Let's talk about primary and secondary qualities. Primary qualities are thought to be objective, inherent properties of physical objects. These qualities exist independent of any observer and are measurable. Some examples are shape, size, motion or rest, number, solidity. If no one is around to sense an object, its primary qualities are still there. Secondary qualities. Secondary qualities are subjective. They depend on the perceiver's mind and sensory apparatus. They're not truly in the object, but are effects the object has on us. Examples: color, sound, taste, smell, temperature. A red apple appears red not because redness is inherent in the apple, but because of how our eyes and brains interpret the light reflected from it. So there's critiques, and these are the sort of like culprits I'm talking about, like sensory skeptics, induction skeptics. George Berkeley denied the distinction altogether, claimed all qualities are mind dependent, even shape or size, since we can only know them through perception. And David Hume agreed with Berkeley, of course, to some extent, emphasizing the skeptical consequences of knowing appearances, not things in themselves. I just think it's important to hit upon the point that our sensory apparatus evolves in the way it does deterministically through evolution, because these are the sense types we need to survive. With an engineering mindset, we have to think like this. Not that everything is advanced and perfect just because it's complex. We can find shortcomings and weaknesses. The same holds true with human perception. Sometimes it fails us, but those failures are often just at the level of novelty and party tricks. Some want so badly to make much more of it. That's sensory skepticism by focusing on the exception to purge the rule for 99% is like sort of like the tool to jump into relativism and think whatever you want and become completely undisciplined and not have any kind of sense of duty, fairness, morality. Because your body itself understands there's an objective reality, your environment, that it has to survive in, and it adapts to that reality that exists before and outside of itself. Adaptation is creative, but in reaction to an objective imposition. I'll smash anybody down who tries to sell me relativism, sensory skepticism, ideology without empiricism. Long-term understanding, respect, and discipline are qualitative goals to be championed for champions. Short-term pleasure, escapism, masturbatory group insistence to serve short-term goals rob the agent of growth in favor of short-term pleasure. Be a disciplined person. Strive to understand through repeatable, objective, empirical observations. Build righteous goals so your causes can be balanced, and if not making the world a better place, at least avoid making it worse. Can you just do this one thing? Avoid making it worse. Just avoiding making it worse is good enough if that's all you can do. A large number of us are powerless to do anything, but we'll never find our way if we can't accept the truth about what we should respect and why. If you guys like this kind of philosophical subject matter, help us out by liking the video and subscribing to the channel.